Japan thought the Pacific was theirs, until American carrier decks unleashed the deadliest naval air fleet in history. Join us as we explore the U.S. naval fighters and dive bombers that crushed Japan in the Pacific, beginning with the early defenders of the fleet. The early defenders. The earliest naval monoplane dive bomber to see action was the Vought SB2U Vindicator. Though quickly superseded, it saw use early in the war and helped define the transition to the modern monoplane carrier attack. The Brewster F2A Buffalo was the U.S. Navy's first monoplane fighter. Despite its flaws, it served briefly in the opening stages of the war. Outmatched by the Japanese Zero, it was rapidly replaced, but it helped expose the harsh reality. Early war fighters were not yet ready for modern air combat. The Grumman F4F Wildcat became the Navy's backbone during the crucial first 2 years. Outmatched in speed and agility, it survived through toughness and tactics. Its ability to absorb extreme damage, combined with the clever thatch-weave maneuver, made it essential at the battles of Coral Sea and Midway. Its folding wing design allowed more aircraft to be packed onto USS carrier decks, multiplying American air power almost overnight. Operating from early island bases, the Army Air Force's long-range Lockheed P-38 Lightning was also a decisive fighter in the Pacific. Its twin-engine range was essential for deep patrols and high-profile missions, like the famous interception of Admiral Yamamoto. The Grumman TBM Avenger replaced the obsolete TBD Devastator as the primary torpedo bomber. Its debut at Midway was disastrous, but the Avenger would become a legend. With over 9,800 aircraft built, it turned into the Navy's dominant anti-ship and anti-submarine weapon throughout the war. Built by General Motors, it was also designated TBM Avenger due to overwhelming demand. The ship killers, dive bombers. The Douglas SBD Dauntless was slow and outdated, but terrifyingly accurate. At the Battle of Midway, SBD pilots sank 4 Japanese fleet carriers in a single day, changing the course of the entire war. It sank more enemy ships than any other Allied aircraft in the Pacific, making it the most strategically decisive American plane of the conflict. The SBD also flew for the USAAF as the A-24 Banshee, though with less success in early land-based operations. Designed to replace it, the Curtiss SB2C Helldiver suffered from a notoriously troubled development and earned the nickname the Beast. But once refined, it was faster, carried a heavier bomb load, and became the Navy's main dive bomber for the rest of the war, even if it never matched the Dauntless's legendary reputation. Following the Helldiver, the Douglas BTD Destroyer, a powerful single-seat dive/torpedo bomber, entered limited service by VJ Day, signaling the shift toward post-war single-pilot attack aircraft. To be complete, we must also acknowledge early training and pre-war aircraft, like the F-3F biplane, the SB2C Helldiver scout bomber, and the BT-1, predecessor to the SBD. These aircraft trained the men who would go on to win the Pacific. Late war dominators, the ace makers. The Grumman F4F Hellcat was built to destroy the Zero. Simpler, tougher, and massively more powerful than the Wildcat, it became known as the Zero Killer. It achieved a staggering 19-to-1 kill ratio and was responsible for the destruction of over 5,000 Japanese aircraft, more than any other Allied fighter in the war. The Vought F4U Corsair, known to the Japanese as Whistling Death, was one of the fastest and heavily armed fighters of the war. Its unique inverted gull wing allowed it to carry a massive propeller. Though initially difficult to land on carriers, it was used with devastating effectiveness by the U.S. Marines before later being cleared for full carrier operations. Bridging the gap between piston and jet power was the Ryan FR Fireball. This unique mixed-power fighter used a piston engine for low-speed carrier operations and a jet engine in the tail for high-speed intercept missions, though it entered service too late. The Grumman F7F Tigercat, a twin-engined heavy fighter, arrived late in the war. Though it saw limited combat, its extreme speed and firepower pointed toward the future of naval aviation. The Grumman F8F Bearcat, smaller and lighter than the Hellcat, was the pinnacle of piston-engined naval fighter design. Entering service at the very end of the war, it represented the final evolution of propeller-driven naval fighters. The evolution of U.S. naval aviation in the Pacific was a story of rapid innovation, from the rugged Wildcat to the overwhelming dominance of the Hellcat and Corsair. These fighters and dive bombers ensured American control of the skies, secured island after island, and paved the way to Japan's final defeat. Next time, join us as we complete the Pacific Air Catalog, every U.S. transport and patrol aircraft used in the Pacific Theater.